What's up? It's your boy Kevin to turn on this motherfucking YouTube shit. Wow, what the fuck?
What's up? It's your boy Kevin to on YouTube shit. Hey man, say man, we are Today, motherfucking day, straight hood outside. Big Crip in the gang, straight hood outside shit, man. Free Palestine, free Congo, Russia, do your thing, and Texas, stand the fuck up. Each day is a new day to be a better version of yourself. Never let somebody bring you down, always fight back. Never let somebody tell you you are awesome, put yourself in a position of alone. Let's stay humble. Let's get on a revolution on the movement. Keep y'all way first. Come to the Black Kid Israelite as a real Jew. Let's get into this bitch. Alright. Today, to motherfucking day. Straight hood outside. Big Crip in the gang, straight hood outside shit, man. Free Palestine, free Congo, Russia do your thing, and Texas stand the fuck up. Each day is ready to be a better version of yourself. Never let somebody bring you down, always fight back. Never let somebody tell you you are boss, not put yourself in a position you don't belong. Let's stay humble, get on a revolution, on the movement, keep y'all way first. Come to the Black Kid Israelite as a real Jew. Let's get into it. Alright. Today, motherfucking day, straight hood outside. Big Crip in the gang, straight hood outside shit, man. Alright, gang. So we got some shit that's been going on. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if this like been like a street rumor or street lore that's been getting more and more attention, and the news started fucking with it and knowing what's going on. But it's called the Austin, Texas serial killer, man. So, you know, in Austin, Texas, you know, they got like lakes and ponds and shit. And there's a lot of motherfuckers that live down here. Well, they got like, this been going crazy. We've been talking about it. There's rumors about lore about these people, like over 16 people that have been unalive by this lake and by people, man, that people trying to figure out what's going on. People having decisions, who it is and what it is and what is that. But towards the end, we gonna have a good understanding of who we think it is. And it's gonna be somebody who y'all probably know. Hey man, say man, make sure y'all like, subscribe, and let's get to this bitch. Shout out to Scary Mysteries. An active serial killer is stalking Austin, Texas. Hey man, say man, you know, it does get tough when you in them trenches. You got these crazy ass motherfucking white people who just want to do retarded ass shit. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, say man, you got to fight back at all times, man. This shit is in Austin, you know what I'm saying? Where I'm from, we handle that shit easily. But you know what I'm saying? Hey, we out here.
Police were alerted about a body being found along a walking trail near Lady Bird Lake in East Austin on Wednesday.
There are renewed concerns after a woman was recently found dead in Lady Bird Lake.
Austin police responding to a high-priority call in Zone 300 of Lady Bird Lake.
Concern among people who hang out near Lady Bird Lake Monday
Lady Bird
after
Lake.
the body of more than 16 bodies, one lake,
16
number of questions that have left an entire city on edge. Over the past 16 years, Lady Bird Lake in Austin, Texas, has become the center of a disturbing mystery
16
that continues to unfold at this very moment. Bodies keep appearing in these waters. Young men who vanish without explanation, only to be found days later under suspicious circumstances. While local authorities maintain these are tragic accidents, a growing number of Austin residents are questioning whether something more sinister might really be at play. Hey guys, it's Andrew. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Everytown, where today we're checking out an ongoing mystery taking place down in Texas. And 20 people found dead in Lady Bird Lake since 2008, and 12 of them since 2022.
Since 2008.
As the number continues to climb, the similarities between many of these cases have become impossible to ignore. Some survivors have interesting stories to tell, Whether or not these are just a bunch of coincidences, or the work of a killer, or perhaps a mix of both, is what we're digging into today. Let's head on over to Austin and check out the mysterious deaths of Lady Bird Lake. To start off, Lady Bird Lake wasn't always called that. Created in 1960 as a cooling pond for a power plant, it was originally called Town Lake.
Man, you never know what the fuck they got in that motherfucking lake, bitch.
To honor Lady Bird Johnson, the
Hey,
former
they got
first
dead,
lady who
hey, they got
worked to
dead
beautify
bodies,
its
bitch. You can
shores.
only imagine what type of chemicals
This
they got
body
in
of
that
water
motherfucker.
stretches through downtown Austin, reaching depths of up to 18 feet, and has become a central feature of the city's outdoor
Why we
recreation
ain't
scene.
assuming that shit? Be honest.
It's surrounded by parks, trails, and some of Austin's most popular entertainment districts. The Anna Roy Butler Hike and Bike Trail circles its perimeter, drawing joggers, cyclists, and pedestrians at all hours. And on its northern shore lies Rainey Street, a historic district transformed into one of the city's hottest nightlife destinations. With
The
bars,
thing about this shit is,
restaurants, and
man,
food trucks.
so many people be coming in and out that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Despite its
Like
calm
random ass
appearance, Lady
motherfuckers.
Bird Lake has some powerful underlying currents.
That's
Its
anywhere.
waters can be more
So it's like,
treacherous than they seem.
but when you in like a
Because
big
of
known
this, swimming is officially
city
banned
like
by
Texas,
city
bitch.
ordinance. Though when the weather gets hot, people have been known to ignore this and take a dip despite the risks. And so unfortunately, there have been some drowning deaths reported here over the years. The ones that could have been avoided, but accidents happen. But all these hazards alone don't explain the disturbing pattern that started to emerge in 2008. A pattern that begins with a Lebanese-American school teacher named Raid Hamad. At 55 years old, Ray was a dedicated peace activist who lived in the city for over 3 decades.
Damn, bitch.
He spent his time teaching business education,
3 dicks a car,
pursuing
bitch.
graduate studies at the University of Texas, as well as running a charitable organization called the Palestine Children's Welfare
Oh shit, shout
Fund,
out to Palestine, man.
which sold Palestinian crabs.
Hey, that shit
to
going
support
down in that bitch,
those in
man.
need.
Boy, they act like
The
that
first
shit
death
just
was
like
one of the strangest of all because
Woo.
all the events leading up to it
prayers
were
out for
out of the
Palestine,
norm.
bitch. Crip.
See, in February of 2008, the FBI and IRS joined forces to raid his South
Always
Austin
some fucking
home,
FBI.
seizing 40 boxes of material
Them
related to
pussy
his
ass
charity
motherfuckers
work
don't do
as
be
part of
doing
an
nothing. Eat
investigation into
motherfucking
alleged
M&Ms
wire
and looking
fraud,
on the internet
bank
at
fraud, and money
motherfuckers,
laundering.
bitch. And looking
No
through,
charges
looking
were
for niggas.
filed, but
Crip.
on Monday night, April 14th, Ahmad's family reported him missing. His last known contact was a peculiar phone
They said,
call
oh,
from
nah, you trying to
Colleen,
support
California,
Palestine?
during
Ain't
which
you one
he
of them?
briefed her on the raid.
You gotta be understanding.
Things he had already
can't
covered
go
in previous
anything about-
emails before abruptly
Aside
ending the
America.
conversation.
Bitch, America KKK, bitch.
Within 24 hours, police used his cell phone to locate his car in a parking lot near South Lakeshore Boulevard. After an initial search, nothing turned up. But on Wednesday afternoon, a passerby on the north side of the lake spotted a body floating near the shore, just east of the I-35 bridge. It was Hamad. The condition of his body would spark
Ooh,
years
they
of
took that
speculation and
motherfucker out.
controversy.
Cold-blooded.
And his eyes were wrapped in duct tape,
Damn.
as if the spool had been spun around his head. Both of his hands and legs were also bound.
See, that's how you know it was a murder.
Despite the suspicious circumstances, investigators claimed the bindings were consistent with self-application.
What?
His arms, for example, were in front of his body, rather than wrapped behind his back. And so for them, officially it appeared like he had done this all to himself.
That's crazy. So you don't think nobody can
But
be...
still,
Like,
not everyone
what?
was convinced. The case became even more controversial when Hamad's body was transported to the Islamic Center of Greater Austin for burial
I don't trust
preparation.
none of them white people, man. Fuck it.
From there, Ibrahim Dramali reported that in his 20 years of preparing bodies for burial, he had never seen
Man, they
one
taking
in
these
such
motherfuckers
horrible
out
condition.
cold easily, bitch.
And he described the corpse as being in a barbaric state, with
That's what I'm
inadequate
saying. How you think
sutures,
he just
seeping
blood.
blood, and flesh that
Just
appeared
beat his own
torn.
self up and
The state of the body was so disturbing.
I mean, it's a crazy ass motherfuckers out here, but come on, man.
Distress. After
Yeah,
all, he
try to beat
stated
his own body up
it
and throw
appeared
himself in the
like a
river.
wild animal that ripped him to shreds.
Damn.
His colleague back in California, the one who got the final phone call, suggested Hamad might have deliberately staged his death to cast suspicion on his perceived enemies. Others speculated about darker possibilities. And given his political activities and the strange condition of his body,
I'm telling y'all
it's not
motherfuckers,
an
man.
possibility
You never
he
go
was targeted.
against what them fake Jews got, man.
In the end, the Austin PD stood by their ruling. But Hamad's death would become even stranger in the years that followed, because it marked the beginning of what will become a disturbing pattern over at
So he was
Bird
like
Lake.
almost the beginning type shit?
A few months later, in June, Austin Fire and Rescue responded to an emergency call from a local fisherman early on a Sunday morning. They had been out
Them
on the lake.
pussy ass
and
motherfuckers
thought
don't know what
they'd
the fuck
spotted
they
a body,
doing.
though they weren't really sure.
Goofy asses.
When responders went to investigate, there between the Holiday Inn and Interstate 35, they found the badly decomposed remains of somebody. They were in such bad shape that at first they couldn't even determine the gender of the victim.
Damn, they got mutilated, bitch.
It would later be discovered that the remains belonged to a missing mother and preschool teacher, Nazima Habibul. Nazima had vanished shortly after
So now we see is they got kind of like a
grocery store.
crib.
Unfortunately, this is all we really know about her story. No cause of death has ever been disclosed. At the time her body was found, homicide investigations were ongoing, with inquiries directed at people close to her, but no further information was ever made available. Now, Nazima is an outlier in this whole mystery because she is one of the few female victims.
Damn,
But
so
her story is definitely
okay.
worth mentioning because it happened in the time frame.
Crip,
as
that
we
was
try
wild.
to
So the
piece
first one
together
like in
what exactly
2000
is going
what?
on here. And we need to account for
It's
all the
2008.
information. Now, 4 years passed before the lake claimed its next victim, but on February 7th of 2012, Eleno Vale, a 20-year-old student, was reported missing.
Damn.
For 10 days, the university community waited anxiously for news of their classmates' whereabouts. The answer came on a Monday morning when police received a call at 8:42 a.m. about a body in Lady Bird Lake. Vale was found near the intersection of Lavaca and Cesar Chavez Streets, and the police immediately began investigating it as an
Lady
unaliving
Bird,
situation.
river, bitch, lake, bitch.
Though the reasons for this quick determination were never fully explained to the public.
Pussy ass
And 2
motherfucker.
years later, in 2014, 25-year-old Iran Rublik disappeared after what would have
Damn,
been a routine
bitch,
ride
those collecting these motherfuckers.
His last
They
known
said it was over
location was
16
precisely
body, bitch.
documented. An Uber driver had dropped him off outside the Holiday Inn near Interstate 35 around 2:30 in the morning. What happened next, though, remains a mystery. It wasn't until the following afternoon, around 2:30 p.m., the two fishermen made the grim discovery. Rublik's body was floating in Lady Bird Lake.
Damn.
But how had a young man gone from being safely
Motherfuckers,
dropped off at a hotel?
mermaid woman. Bitch, they out here
Rublik's death
swimming.
was officially ruled as an accidental drowning.
Accidental, bitch.
In 2015, 22-year-old
Like a
Julio
man.
Santos III was home in Austin for a week after graduating before he was set to start a new job in Seattle. But his life was cut short.
Santos was last seen near a food truck across from the Barbarella Bar in downtown Austin at 2:30 a.m. His body was found just hours later.
Damn,
at 7 a.m.
transgender
on the
bitch.
same day.
What the fuck?
His belongings were discovered behind the bar,
Dang.
including some of his cash and
Got
ID,
Transformers out here.
suggesting he hadn't been robbed and that maybe he had chosen to go for a swim after having too much to drink.
In this dirty ass
Nobody
lake.
recalls him saying anything to that effect. His death was yet again ruled as an accidental drowning. However, his sister openly disagrees with this verdict wants the investigation into her brother's
That's
death reopened.
crazy.
I think he was drugged. I think he was overserved. I think he was lured over there in the river. I picture somebody hurting him, and he's just left. We should be able to have fun and not have to worry about, our loved ones being found in the river and being told, oh, they just drank too much.
Then in October of 2018,
Travis County Sheriff's Office says a body found in Lake Austin earlier this week was the body of a man who went missing over the weekend. The body has been officially identified as Christopher White. He was last seen on Saturday morning.
Hey,
after attending the festival on Friday,
let's be honest, bro.
the group returned to their
We
accommodations.
haven't seen none of our color in this bitch so far. Hey,
Early the
man.
next morning around 6 a.m., White, who appeared intoxicated, mentioned going to the dock, but was not seen leaving the house. Later that day, his friends noticed he was missing
Damn,
and
bitch.
reported to the authorities.
Motherfucker like Johnny Manziel, goofy ass.
On October 8th, a passerby
Crip, I got football
discovery
jersey. Crip, I told y'all
was
niggas.
White's body floating in Lake Austin, near a dock close to the rental property. The Travis County medical examiner ruled his death as an accidental drowning, with toxicology reports indicating the presence of ethanol and MDMA in his system.
Out that Fenty,
Lake
bitch.
Austin is part of Lady Bird Lake, the same body of water just a couple miles apart. Just a month after this, in November, Martin Gutierrez, 25-year-old Austin resident, disappeared after
On
a night
they
out
ass.
in
They got
recently
BTA
populated
out there,
Street
bitch.
District. The circumstances of his disappearance were particularly troubling. The security footage from his final hours showed him in what his brother would later describe as a completely uncharacteristic state.
We actually found some surveillance at an apartment complex nearby that showed Martin going towards the water, or what we thought was Martin, and it looked very similar to the way he was walking and everything, so we were almost quite positive it was, and we turned it over to the detective. I just don't know how he got in the water. I don't know if he fell or someone hurt him, or there's just so many questions unanswered.
This behavior was especially puzzling to his brother, who noted that they often went out drinking together, and Martin had never acted this way before. The search for the young man ended when his body was found floating in the waters near the area where he was last seen.
Officers pulled 25-year-old Martin Gutierrez's body from Lady Bird Lake on Monday. Yesterday, fingerprint technology confirmed it was him.
The discovery raised more questions than it answered. The autopsy revealed blunt force trauma to the back of his head.
Motherfucker look
Injury
zesty
that
as hell,
seemed to be
bitch.
difficult to explain, simply the result of an accidental fall. This one was severe.
That shit wild, bro. You never know
However,
what
without anything else
happened
to
in them
go
dirty
on,
ass lakes.
no other
Let's
clues
be
or
honest.
evidence.
Bitch,
Officials
you go up in that
ruled his
bitch
death
swimming, bitch,
an
might get a
accidental drowning,
motherfucking sea urchin on your
intoxicated.
fucking leg, bitch. I don't fucking know what the fuck you'll find that motherfucker.
So up to this point, you might be thinking that accidents happen, right?
You might find
But yeah,
motherfucking
maybe
mermaid
there's an
hand in that
unusual
motherfucker
amount
pulling
of
you down,
drownings
bitch.
happening here. But mix in a bunch of bars and young people, put it next to a large body of water, and bad things are going to occur.
If you lit,
while
yeah.
it may be true in some of
Grip.
these cases, the following story shifted the public perception as to what was really going on here in Austin. Because one of these young men who had been hanging out in this area survived his fall into the river, and he says it was no accident at all.
They probably on your ass, man. Them ancestors, bitch.
On
On y'all
November
goofy
17th of
asses.
2019, 21-year-old Christian Pugh went out
Zesty
for
as
what should
fuck.
have been just another night on the town with some friends. They headed to none other than Rainey Street, and it was pretty busy as usual.
Motherfucker zesty
Like many
as
of the
hell.
victims before him, Pugh then
Fucker,
vanished
he's
at
a
some
zesty.
point
He's a
during the night.
zesty, boy.
His friends couldn't pinpoint exactly when or how he separated from the group, but those hours turned into days as people searched, fear growing with each passing hour. Unlike the other cases, well, this story would take an unexpected turn. Because 2 days after his disappearance, Pugh was
The
found.
Zesty Bar, huh?
According to police, Pugh was last seen here at Clive on Rainy Street when he was reported missing, but this is nowhere near where he was found. He was actually found south of Lady Bird Lake, near the south end of the Congress Avenue Bridge, a drive that took us about 5 minutes. According to those who
Damn,
found
them
him,
lakes
Pugh
might be
was
trying to
deep
purify these
embedded into this
motherfuckers.
brush right here
Be
in
honest.
between the water and the hike and bike trail.
And Pugh was conscious, but barely clinging to life. His body showed signs of severe trauma, broken ribs, a dislocated leg, things you'd expect from a fall off a bridge. He also had bloodied knuckles, a large welt on his head, and these things were more consistent with having been in a fight. The injuries were so extensive that he immediately was induced into a coma to help with the healing process.
Damn,
and
bitch,
would
this
last
is
like
that
that
nigga
for a
KO.
month. And meanwhile, the police classified this as another accident, suggesting
Dumb ass
Pugh had
crackers,
stumbled
man.
and fallen off of Congress Avenue Bridge.
Oof.
But when the young man finally emerged from his coma, well, he had more to add to the story. Unfortunately, the trauma of the whole thing had wiped his memory most of the night.
Damn.
There were a lot of blank spots, but he thinks he was assaulted and thrown over that bridge deliberately. Now, as a reminder, the police were not the ones to find Pugh. In fact, they waited over 48 hours before dispatching a search team.
Damn.
A short time after that is when that homeless man randomly found him. The police dismissed Pugh's claims, saying he thought that perhaps he was targeted, given some sort of drug, and then tossed over the side of Congress Bridge and left for dead. And the people in town at this point were realizing something was off with all this stuff happening, even if the authorities wouldn't. Pugh's
You gotta
case
pray,
sparked
bitch,
the
when you
creation
walking out
of
here
a
in these streets.
Change.org petition
Hell no.
asking the Austin
Now what the fuck
PD
you
to
find out
acknowledge
here?
that the drownings might not be accidents. And they wanted the cases to be taken more seriously. Within days, hundreds of concerned citizens had signed it. But even with this, the deaths didn't stop. And in fact, they multiplied in rapid succession.
Damn.
Beginning in mid-2022, the bodies started appearing with disturbing frequency. Between July of 2022 and February of 24, at least 12 more people were found dead in or near the lake. Ricky Parks was discovered in July of 2022, near 9 East Avenue. His investigation was quickly closed and no foul play was said to have been involved. On December 10th, an unidentified person was found near South Pleasant Valley Road and South Lakeshore Boulevard. Just 2 weeks later, on Christmas Day, another unidentified body was discovered near the pedestrian bridge along South Lamar. And 3 days after that, Kyle Thornton was found near the Congress Avenue Bridge. That's 3 bodies in less than 3 weeks. Coincidence? The work of a serial killer. Maybe a little bit of both. By now, among the Austinites, there were rumblings of the Rainy Street Killer on the loose. Those rumblings
The
are
Rainy
right now
Street
only getting
Killer?
louder, because come 2023,
You know, Freddy Cougar
it's only
Street, I
got
forgot
worse.
that. Elm Road, Elm Street Killer.
On February 5th of that year, Jason John, known to friends as JJ,
Damn, Jason.
disappeared.
You was not the right Jason.
The 30-year-old
Look at me
Austin
talking Freddy
during the
Cougar,
pandemic,
bitch. Jason Goofy.
relocating from NYC with his puppy Ruffle, seeking new opportunities in Texas.
Man, the Ruffy can eat like a snack, big
He was
paw.
last seen walking from Rainy Street toward the Ann and Roy Butler hike and bike trail, a route that will become tragically familiar in these cases. 8 days of searching and his body was found.
The autopsy results for Jason John, who was found dead in Lady Bird Lake back in February, have been released.
And the Travis County Medical Examiner's Office has ruled the cause of death an accidental drowning.
March brought another devastating loss. The 40-year-old Clifton Axtell was found dead on the 5th.
Hey, like I said,
Axtell
man.
was a commercial real
I don't
estate
think I'm not
analyst
coloring this
on
bitch.
track to
I don't know. We
graduate
might be
from
A.
Harvard
Like I said,
Extension
man.
School, where he consistently
He
made the
might be
dean's
good.
list. My friends described him as a beautiful, bright ball of energy with fierce intellect and
More like
creativity.
a reptilian, bitch.
He was deeply involved in his church, leading worship at Celebrate Recovery for 3 years. And he left behind a wife, Megan, and 2 children. But the cause of death? The medical examiner was unable to determine it. It was explained as a natural event, that he had either entered the water on his own or fallen in. Because they didn't know which, they just left it as undetermined to play it safe. And before the city could even process Axtell's death, another tragedy struck. This time, 33-year-old Jonathan Honey would come to Austin for what should have been a celebration, bachelor party with friends.
Come down
March
to Texas,
31st,
bitch,
he
still
was
has
enjoying the
8 up in
city's
this
famous food
motherfucker.
truck
Pause,
scene.
bitch. No
Yep.
more to be
It'll be the last time anyone saw him alive. His body was found the very next day in the water. And April brought another victim, 30-year-old Christopher Hayes Clark.
Damn, bitch!
And his death,
Fuck!
a 12-year-old son without a father.
Fuck!
Multiple 911 calls reported his body in the lake.
He might was one of them motherfuckers who, you know what I'm saying, who thought they was like, I don't know, fuck.
In June,
Fuck, man, we was almost on the street,
1000
bitch!
block of West Caesar
We was on
Chavez
the
Street.
street!
Like
We
so
was
many
on the
others, his
street,
death
bitch.
was quickly labeled as
Damn, bitch!
not being investigated as a homicide.
Fuck!
But by this point, the similarities between the cases were becoming impossible to ignore.
At least they said it's a homicide, bitch. They didn't say it's natural cause, bitch.
Many had disappeared from the exact same area. Many were found in similar locations. And in case after case, the official explanation seemed to leave key questions unanswered. I mean, what really happened to these guys?
Damn, we was on the street.
Jeff Jones is another survivor of Lady Bird Lake. And this 38-year-old was visiting Austin for a bachelor party.
Fuck!
And after a night out on West 6th Street, he was found severely injured under the 6th Street Bridge near Shoal Creek. Now, Jones had sustained multiple injuries, including broken vertebrae, a punctured spleen, and internal bleeding. Medical tests revealed the presence of Rohypnol in his system,
Damn, bitch.
indicating he had been drugged that night.
So it's too close to Rhino.
Now, Jones believes he was drugged and pushed off of the bridge, a theory that has raised concern about potential serial killings in the area. After all, he wouldn't be the first, but yet, the police do not seem to be taking this seriously.
5 bodies pulled from Lady Bird Lake in just 6 months. Jason John, Clifton Axtell, Jonathan Honey, John Christopher Hayes Clark, and now an unidentified man.
Damn.
The most recent discovery came on February 5th of 2024.
Austin police responding to a high-priority call in Zone 300 of Lady Bird Lake around 8:15 Sunday morning. That's near Brazos and East Cesar Chavez Street. APD says that based on appearance, the body was a homeless woman in her 60s and that it looks like she was trying to stay warm based on her clothing and the position of her body. Police say there were no signs of drug or alcohol usage.
And that leaves us with over 16 cases, the majority of which took place in the last 3 years, all surrounded by an unmistakable air of mystery. In short, this is what we got. Many of the victims were young men in their 20s or 30s. A significant number
we got one black person at the back. You know what I'm saying? We on the
Several
street.
victims disappeared in the early morning hours between 2 and 3 a.m. The Austin police have consistently maintained that there's no evidence linking these deaths together or suggesting foul play was even involved. They point to alcohol as a common factor,
They're the goofiest
noting
motherfuckers
that
out
many
there.
victims have been drinking before their deaths. The department emphasizes that the combination of alcohol and easy access to the lake, particularly through poorly lit areas, creates dangerous conditions. But that doesn't seem to be the whole story, because multiple victims showed signs of physical trauma. Several bodies
So this
were
shit
found
is beginning ass
where the
beat, Bob.
victims were
But
last
it's
seen,
beginning ass beat.
many of them showing up in parts of the lake that were opposite to the direction that the current flows, meaning there's more to their stories than just falling in. They walked around to other parts of the city. Where exactly, though, nobody knows.
That lake is big as fuck. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be swimming in that bitch. I'll probably fish out of it. But swimming in that motherfucker? Nah. Hey, you never
So
know
let's
these
dive
days, man.
into two of the most compelling theories surrounding the deaths at Lady Bird Lake.
They got some good
The
ass
first
fucking
one is, let's say, the most
ocean.
rational,
I know they got
though
Galveston
it comes
Beach
with
and
a big
shit.
asterisk. See, Austin has undergone a major transformation in recent years. In just 4 years, the city's metro population has swelled from 2.17 million to 2.31 million.
Oh shit.
Each year brings a new wave. 52,000 new residents in 2022,
It's
46,000 in 23,
get fucked up.
and 46,000 more in 24. That's a lot of people. Around 1,000 new residents every single week.
Yeah.
Each chasing dreams of tech jobs and the
Yeah, there's a
freedom
lot
of
of shit out
Texas
there.
living.
Yeah.
Now, this massive growth has rewritten Austin's identity. The streets that once housed local musicians and artists now showcase tech campuses and startup incubators. The city's famous weird culture drowns under waves of development, leaving a landscape where homeless encampments huddle
Yeah,
in the
they do got a lot of
shadows
homeless
gleaming luxury
motherfuckers
high-rises.
under the bridges
Some
and shit.
apartments
It's a lot of
rented
homeless
for more than
motherfuckers
what
out here.
entire houses cost just a decade ago. The area around Lady Bird Lake embodies this transformation.
There's a lot of homelessness out
Old
here.
music venues that
Sure.
launched legends like the Dixie Chicks and Lyle Lovett have vanished, replaced by towering condos. Former hippie hangouts and vegan cafes that once
Can't trust a
prioritized
soul
feeding
down
the
here,
community
though.
over
Sure.
profit have given way to upscale restaurant and bars. This rapid change has created a perfect storm of conditions around the lake. University students under immense stress from Austin's rising cost of living, mixed with the city's unhoused population, creating a volatile environment. Bars and clubs overflow with revelers every weekend, adding to the chaos. The lake's winding trails, often dimly lit, and with numerous access points to deep water, provide the ideal setting
There's a lot
for
of places to
tragedy
party.
to unfold in an instant, especially when all the new people don't know what's around the next bend. So through this lens, the string of drownings takes on a grimly logical aspect. A late night on Rainy Street, where drinks flow freely and crowds spill into the streets until the early hours of the morning. The lake is just a few blocks away, its edge often unguarded. A little stumble is all it takes. A misstep could easily lead to disaster. But then there's the other theory that continues to linger.
With several bodies surfacing over the past 2 years in and around Lady Bird Lake, rumors of a serial killer have been brought into question.
Although the police dismiss this notion, the
Yeah,
pattern of
fuck that.
deaths seem to point to
Clowns.
something far more sinister going on. A predator intentionally targeting victims. And what better place to do it, really, than where there's tons of people and tons of alcohol? And people have foggy memories. And if anything is to happen, well, it's easy to blame it on the bars and restaurants sitting so close to the water. Here, the lake's edge combines tourist spots where people gather to watch the famous Austin bats, isolated hiking trails and water access points, creating countless opportunities for anybody.
Man, you ranking
who
up
wishes to
16 bodies in that motherfucking lake is insane, though.
Advocate to this theory note disturbing
Since
details
that little
that seem to
time.
transcend mere coincidence. There's the unexplained trauma found on multiple victims. The curious fact that the bodies sometimes appear far from the victims' last known locations. Then there's the case of Martin Gutierrez,
Super
who was
zesty,
seen on
goofy looking
camera
ass.
stumbling as if he had been drugged. The case of Christian Pugh, who
Extra
survived but
zesty
can't
looking
remember
goofy
what
ass.
happened to him. Again, possibly drugged. The case of Jeff Jones, who was convinced he was
cyborg
drugged
looking
and
ass.
pushed off of the bridge, with the toxicology reports backing him up. Despite these unsettling signs, local law enforcement continue to maintain that each death has been thoroughly investigated and deemed either accidental or unexplained. But history has shown that many deaths, in many cases, have been initially written off as coincidences until the real perpetrator is finally caught. As I mentioned, it doesn't have to necessarily be one or the other. The truth most likely lies somewhere between these two theories. It's possible that Austin's rapid growth alongside the changing demographics
It could be a lot of motherfuckers coming in out that
has created the
motherfucker, though.
ideal conditions for both accidents and predatory behavior to thrive unnoticed.
Especially with gentrification and all that shit, man.
Regardless of where you stand, one thing is certain. For many in Austin, Lady Bird Lake is no longer seen as just a peaceful urban retreat.
Yeah, you go at your own
It's
risk,
become a
bitch.
place of uncertainty, where safety feels compromised. With so many unexplained deaths, it seems like they need to take the simple steps first. The more lighting in the dark areas of the park, more surveillance cameras too, and, of course, guardrails along the water's edge.
So 15 out of 1 ain't that,
once and for
1
all
out of
what
15
exactly
ain't that
is
bad
happening.
black people. You know what I'm saying?
And either
At
help
that
put a
point, we feel
stop
like we
to
come
the
up on
accidents,
that. You know what I'm saying? Crip.
Put a killer behind bars.
Hey.
So that's going to do it for this week's episode of Everytown. Hope y'all enjoyed it. And please do come back next
Shout out to Noah Warrior. This is a different perspective on who they think who they think it is, man. And who y'all think it is, man, is gonna really like I think it is 3. Shout out to Noah Warrior, man. Check him out, man.
How many bodies does it take for someone to be considered a serial killer? Is it 2, 5, 10? Well, something very sinister is happening within the shadows of Austin, Texas. And this isn't about freedom, rights, policies, or politics. No, it's far more bloody. In Austin, multiple bodies have been discovered in Lady Bird Lake, 13 to be exact. For context, when we began writing this video, that number was 11. To set the stage, Lady Bird Lake was originally called Town Lake. It was created in the 1960s by the city of Austin as a cooling pond for the Holly Street Power Plant. Technically, Lady Bird Lake isn't a lake, but a reservoir formed by a dam section of the Colorado River, which was shut down in 2007. On July 6, 2007, Town Lake was officially renamed Lady Bird Lake, just 2 weeks after the death of former First Lady Claudia Alta Johnson, known as Lady Bird. It's also essential to understand the size of Austin and the lake's location within the city. In case you are unfamiliar, Austin is the capital of Texas, located near the middle of the state. Its population has grown rapidly, particularly due to an influx of citizens, celebrities, and corporations moving from California, calling Austin the new Silicon Valley. As of the 2022 census, Austin's population was approximately 1 million, but it is likely much, much higher in 2024. While Austin isn't as large as neighboring cities like San Antonio and Houston, it is one of the densest, which historically is the type of city most prone to crime. Austin has a unique blend of a college town atmosphere mixed with city life, something relatively rare in Texas. The city is famous for its bars, festivals, and nightlife, especially for young adults. Notable attractions include 6th Street, a historic entertainment district,
that's what we was talking about.
restaurants, and
He talking
venues,
about Rainy
and the
Street, bitch.
Austin
I heard
City
about
Limits,
6th Street.
or ACL Music Festival, held annually at Zilker Park. Tourism plays a significant role in Austin's economy, contributing an estimated $7.4 billion. Some speculate this may be why the Austin Police Department has been hesitant to announce that there is a killer on the loose. On July 14, 2022, at approximately 7:37 a.m., a fisherman casting his line near the Roy G. Guerrero, Colorado River made a grim discovery. He spotted a body floating in the water and promptly called 911. This incident set off a chain of events that would lead to more bodies being found throughout 2022, 2023, and 2024, with some dating all the way back to 2008. In 2022 alone, 4 bodies were discovered in the lake, 3 of them in December. Ricky Parks, Christopher Gutierrez, Josue Moreno, and Kyle Thornton. Ricky Parks was ruled as having no foul play with no links to his death established. Christopher Gutierrez was also ruled as no foul play. Coincidentally, he was found alive by a fisherman but later died at a nearby hospital. This trend of ruling cases as no foul play has only heightened public concern. For example, Mitchell, the brother of one of the victims, expressed his belief that his brother looked drugged in surveillance footage taken the night of his disappearance. To add on to that, the bar they visited had accidentally deleted the footage from that night, which is insanely odd and suspicious.
Come back a day or two later, I'm like, dude, you gotta be more on this. This is an active missing persons case. You need to be responding within like minutes, an hour, and we were not on the priority list.
How did APD do when it came to looking for your brother and keeping you informed?
So the APD did an absolutely terrible job with my brother's case. There was people asking for wrong dates of footage. It was hard to get staff to help. It was hard to get people to respond, but I just didn't feel the urgency. I didn't feel like they truly cared. My brother deserved better than that. 3 days after he'd been missing, that he was not in the water. Apparently they were full of shit because they didn't believe their own initial search, so now they went back to the water, but someone found him. There was some guy that has an apartment right here off of Riverside, went out with his cup of coffee in the morning, saw a body floating and called 911.
Police didn't even find him?
Nope. It was a random, person in their apartment.
In total, 10 bodies have been ruled as no foul play. All these bodies were found in close proximity around Lady Bird Lake. While the Austin Police Department insists that there isn't a serial killer at large, many locals disagree. Who wouldn't be concerned with 13 bodies found in the same location? Mostly young adults, with most cases ruled as no foul play. There are also discussions about the APD's alleged incompetence, rumors of a smiley face killer, drink spiking incidents, and even alleged FBI interference. The alleged serial killer reportedly left spray-painted smiley faces around where the bodies were found, which seems deliberate. However, those who disagree say the smiley faces are part of Austin's vibrant street art culture and are unrelated to the cases. On a different note, there have been reports of drink spiking incidents dating back to 2019. One woman reported being drugged while out on Rainy Street, a popular nightlife area in Austin, prompting an investigation by local police. Though details on that investigation remain scarce. Doctors have noted a pattern of patients presenting symptoms consistent with drugging, suggesting widespread drink tampering. Now, you might wonder if the bodies were linked to drink spiking since many were reported missing after a night out, but unfortunately, standard drug tests are quite inadequate at this point in time, missing a range of substances including fentanyl. Just 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal, which is roughly around 10 grains of salt. It is deeply concerning and frankly alarming that, despite the discovery of 20 bodies since 2008, 13 of which have emerged in just the last 3 to 4 years, the lack of urgency from the Austin City Police Department in addressing this escalating crisis raises serious questions about their commitment to public safety and the well-being of the community. With so many lives lost in such a short span of time, the need for proactive measures to protect the people of Austin is not just necessary, it is urgent. The continued silence and inaction only add to the anxiety and fear felt by most Austin residents who are left wondering what it will take for their concerns to be taken seriously. Now, just a brief disclaimer, I am not claiming any of these conspiracies to be true. I just want to state them here for you all so you can hear them out and contemplate for yourself about who or what the Austin Lady Bird Lake killer / Rainy Street Ripper might be. So there has been talks on Reddit and YouTube where people believe the killer or killers are actually police officers currently working for the Austin Police Department. This could be justified as pretty much all the cases are ruled as accidents and with no foul play and are all close cases within weeks. It is also weird how there are absolutely no leads, at least to public knowledge. It is also suspicious how evidence seems to constantly disappear or not function, like in the camera situation with Gutierrez. Also, there was a Reddit thread in an Austin Reddit community that stated how apparently there was a situation where the FBI and APD were closing in on the killer, ironically at a bar on Rainy Street, and as they were in the bar with the killer noticed them and upon realizing it was the end, pulled out a gun and shot himself. After that, the agents and police quickly cleaned up the the scene and never announce it publicly, as they don't want the public to know that it was one of their own officers sworn to protect them who was performing these gruesome acts. But of course, this was from Reddit, so take it with a bucket of salt. This next theory, in my opinion, might make a little more sense. According to one Reddit user who apparently serves in the military, noted how similar the dates of the murderers aligned with typical military on-duty and off-duty seasons. Basically, there was around a 2-year gap where no deaths or mysterious murders took place at all in Austin's Lady Bird Lake. Now, although these years were during the peak of COVID, and you can argue that no one was really out and about at bars, this Redditor stated how psychologically there is no way a true serial killer would just take a break from killing, from what motivates them day to day, week to week, month to month. Eventually, even during COVID, he or she would have to kill again somehow to appease their insatiable appetite for murder. And because there were no deaths for 2 years, the Redditor explains how maybe the killer had to be sent off back on duty in the military somewhere. This explains why they might like to kill since they see death and sometimes even inflict it on a day-to-day basis as their career. This also explains how all of a sudden, after those 2 years, a plethora of newfound bodies and mysterious deaths start reappearing in Austin again. So, I'm not too informed on the smiley face killer or killers. If I can remember correctly, I think the smiley face killer is actually like a group of killers located across the United States, acting almost like a killer cult or religion. According to many Redditors and YouTubers, the smiley face killers could be the ones committing all these murders. This would make sense since pulling off murders like these might need more than one person, especially since most of these deaths have been young adult men. This also makes sense since you'd probably need more than one person to spike the drinks, pick up the drunk, drugged out victim, kill them, and then toss them out into the lake, all while making sure there are no clues or evidence left behind and that the same face doesn't show up constantly on camera at each bar. Not only this, but there have been smiley faces coincidentally spotted at the crime scenes, and although many say it's just coincidence, is it really? Now, there is another conspiracy, and this one I'll just kind of briefly go over, but basically it's about a serial killer that has something against gay men. This being that most
all the
of the
motherfuckers
people
was
that were
zesty as
killed,
hell.
especially the men, were either gay or trans.
It was a whole transformer in that bitch.
So that's just a theory out there in the internet. Now this last one isn't really a theory, but many people are accepting the fact that there just really isn't all that much evidence that points to foul play. And honestly, I can see their point here. There really is no incriminating evidence against anyone, at least from what we know in the public. Yeah, there are some weird things that happen, but you can always blame that to how slow and stupid police departments usually work. Also, the lake is right next to many bars, and if you've ever blacked out before, it is insanely scary to learn that you do not remember anything from the past 2 to 4 hours you were blacked out. Now, imagine blacking out at Rainy Street. So it kind of makes sense to believe that maybe all these people were really just drunk out of their minds and accidentally fell into the river and drowned. Anyways, we'll never know what actually happened to these people who passed away, unfortunately, but maybe someday we will, and all these victims and their families can finally obtain justice. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave.
Hey man, shout out to Mystery Deep Dive. It's just another perspective of what they think going on at the at that mysterious lake type shit in Austin. Goofy ass.
All right, so we're heading down to Austin, Texas this time. You know, live music, bustling nightlife, that whole vibe. But lately there's this, well, unsettling feeling surrounding Lady Bird Lake.
And what's got everyone talking is that it's not just a one-off thing, right? We've been digging into news articles, social media, even a whole petition.
I told you, you know, them zesty ass looking motherfuckers.
Mostly.
They look all like zesty.
And you, our listeners, you've been sending us tons of info on this, so we know you're ready to get into it. No sensationalizing here, just us diving deep into these sources, separating the facts from the noise, figuring out if there's really a pattern here, and letting you decide what you think.
Yeah, because that's the big question, isn't it? Tragic accidents or something more going on under the surface of Lady Bird Lake.
Let's back up a bit to 2008. Rahad Hamed, found dead in the lake. Seemed open and shut, suicide,
until you get to the details. Hamed's body bound, duct taped. Not your everyday suicide, right? Huge red flag there. I mean, how's that even possible?
It's a detail that just sticks with you, especially with what came after. More drownings, often young men last seen around the Rainy Street bars.
And that's what makes it so unnerving. Not just the drownings, but the victims, where they were. Makes you wonder, are these random, or is there a link we need to be looking at?
Now jump ahead to 2022, Jason John's case. Found in the lake, accidental drowning, they said. But his family, they weren't buying it. They were so involved in the search, and they felt strongly that there was more to it.
That lack of closure, the feeling that authorities aren't being totally upfront, comes up again and again in these cases. It often just creates more suspicion, giving those families some peace.
And that suspicion grew even more after Martin Gutierrez died in 2018. His case, it really sparked a firestorm.
For sure. Gone missing from Rainy Street, security footage showing him, well, out of it after just one drink. Later, they find him in the lake. Imagine being his family, hoping, then getting that news. Just awful.
His brother, Mitchell, he's been so vocal, convinced it wasn't an accident. He's dedicated himself to getting the word out, pushing for a real investigation into Martin's death and all the others like it.
What Mitchell is doing is both heartbreaking and really inspiring. It shows how much love there is, but also the desperate need for answers when you lose someone this way.
So we have these drownings, victims who fit a certain profile, and this wave of doubt about the official explanations. It's like a powder keg, ready to blow. We've got to unpack these theories, the expert opinions, everything going around. Let's start with what the police are saying.
Austin PD, they've always said these are accidents. Alcohol, easy access to the water, that's their story. And yeah, for some drownings, maybe that's it. But when you see it happening this much, the same type of person, the same area, you can see why some folks are looking for more concrete explanations.
Right, and that's where the serial killer idea takes hold. It's all over online, people comparing these cases to other drowning deaths all over the country.
I think it's the police.
And look, it's good to be skeptical of these theories, but you can't just dismiss the questions they raise. When you have this many cases with these kinds of similarities, people will connect the dots, especially when the official story feels incomplete.
Some people even bring up the smiley face killer theory, terrifying thought. Someone targeting young men, making it look like accidents.
And then there's this petition going around demanding a real investigation into the Austin drownings. One they single out is Christopher Hayes Clark, found in the lake in 23. His ex-partner, Rhiannon Aparicio, she's positive there was foul play, even thinks the police might be involved.
That's a serious accusation, and sadly, not unheard of. And then you have Christian Pugh back in 2019.
Alright, we back. So if y'all know from what I was been saying, who y'all think is gonna beat, I think it's 12. Like, over 16 people that got hit. Unless it's the spiritual activities going on in that bitch. A lot of shit that's been going on. And, you know, people been disappearing. And it's all about a lake and shit. And people be coming up floating, missing, dead. Float, they all float, head ass. It looking ass. So it's just like, we gotta understand that anything can be happening towards the end time. And it's been happening since 2008, apparently. So, a lot of motherfuckers was zesty as fuck. So, I don't know what's going on, man. We looking at it, and it's weird, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it wasn't that too many of our people, black people. So, hey, at the end of the day, like I said, man, motherfuckers, man, be messing with the wrong motherfucking people, man. Shit be happening, man. And like I said, it could be 12, it could not be 12. We don't fucking know at the end of the day. We just looking down to see what's going on. That shit wild in Austin, Texas, man. Hey, if you don't know how to move down, church, that's anywhere though. And you don't know how to, and don't know nobody, and them people not your real people, you'll come up in that bitch missing easily. Cause there's so much land and opportunity to get fucked up around that bitch, like real talk. But yeah, I want to let y'all know about this shit, what's going on. And we out the bitch, hood, Northside, big crip in it, gang, Northside shit.
Hey, Dad, you know, dog, when we link up, dog, this shit be legendary. Even though this is instrumental, you the engineer on it, so Kodak everywhere.